Good afternoon, this is Jack from theafterchart.net, and this is an afternoon video for the afternoon of Tuesday, the 26th of December. Boxing Day, it's a holiday here, and I recognise a lot of people won't be around, but I want to announce a couple of free webinars we're doing this week, and need to talk about those. Our disclaimer, we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share our technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. We're not here to issue trading signals. Now, a couple of things I wanted to mention. To go to the Afterchart website, and you go to, a lot of people don't seem to know where our free webinar page is, so I'm just putting a quick description on here because obviously they need to be able to find that. And that is, you click blog, and you go to the current one, which in this particular instance is January free webinars. Here's one I prepared earlier. And we've announced we've got a couple of webinars coming up, and these are actually, first two are in December. We're getting 2018 outlook for indexes, currencies, and bonds. We're doing after the close tomorrow on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we're doing another one on 2018 for metals, energies, and other commodities. We're doing these every year. We've done them for the last couple of years, and we'll be having a quick look at how we did on our forecast for last year. Obviously, they're not as, the further you go out, the more difficult it is. So, you know, I mean, to a certain extent, these are just educated guesses, but they're good educated guesses. So we shall see. All right, and the other thing to mention is on Sunday, we've got, hang on, a free chart chat. This is our free public one that we do every month, and that's on Sunday, January the 7th. Sunday afternoon. So that's going to be a big public one, and these are the three big public webinars that we are doing this week. So that's worth, and if you want to register for any of those, you go to the January free webinars page on the Afterchart blog. Okay, let's have a look at what's happening today, and wait a second. Let's have a look at ES. Now, ES, we broke up slightly through likely flag resistance, but we haven't actually been doing anything since. We're testing the underside of the weekly pivot. We haven't got through it yet. That needs to break and convert to open up the retest of the all-time high as a target. Now, one thing I am looking at here, and this is something I was mentioning last week, is we're looking at the test of this support trend line. This is now in the 2681.5 area and is pretty close. It may be that we're going to need to test that, and if that breaks, then I've got another one below, currently at about the 2674 area. Need to be aware of those because we may be testing one, we could be testing both. If we see a break through this one here at 2674, then chances are we have already started the retracement into likely cycle low January the 9th. I'm still hoping to see those retests, but we'll see. NQ is looking pretty bearish here. We've seen a lower low underneath this low after the flag resistance broke, so I've redrawn that, and flag resistance is now slightly north of 6,500 and just above the weekly pivot. If we're going to see that ATH retest, which is now less likely, I think, on NQ, then we need to break up through the weekly pivot and convert it, and that should deliver it. If we can't do that, then we may have already topped out, and the obvious target then would be this rising support, which is in the 63.55 area currently. Into January the 9th, possibly lower, but that's a pretty good match for the monthly pivot, and that would be the obvious target. Let's have a look at TF. TF is looking more bullish. I mean, this hasn't really changed in a few days. What we've been doing is consolidating above broken double bottom resistance. The double bottom target is a retest of the all-time high, possibly a little higher, but and as long as this holds a support, which held like a champ last week, then that is the obvious next target. That's holding well today. TF is above the weekly pivot, only one of the three to be. As long as that holds a support as well, then we'll go there sooner rather than later. Because of the timings of the cycles, I'm particularly keen to see this test in the next day or so. If it delays more than that, then the chances that we're going to break straight down without doing that ATH retest rise considerably. DX. DX, I was talking this morning about a likely test of this trend line here. We have tested it and it has broken. The next support we've got is really, I've got a possible falling wedge support here, but if we get down that far as a test, it's probably going to break, and I'd then be looking at this trend line here, which is the natural falling wedge resistance trend line if we have not first hit this trend line here. That's currently in the 92 point, 6 area, and we may well need to go and see that. That's looking like very possible unfinished business below. What will happen when we get there? I don't know. But if we see a break and conversion of that, then chances are it's going down, I think, and that the rally high is already made and the next leg down is starting. CL, nice move up on that today. Very nice move up. I was talking about this morning. I was talking about the break and conversion of triangle resistance and talking about the possible target, which is up slightly north of 61. Obviously, we've gone a long way towards that. Probably needs a retracement soon. But looking at the W-tick chart, what I'm looking at here, and this is something I was talking about weeks ago when we were testing here, and Sam was looking a bit higher, and I was saying this was a fairly formidable resistance trend line. It tested, it did not break, and that trend line is the one we're looking for now. I've got trend line resistance at about 61.25 area, expecting it to be strong resistance again, and it is a strong target until we reach it. I really like the move to 61.25. At that stage, we'll be looking around for a high. But at this stage, depending on how long it takes us to get there, obviously this would have moved. It's a rising trend line. This could be as high as 61.5, 61.75, and equally, because this is a wedge, it's possible it's going to overthrow. After that, I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to break down and head to this trend line here, which is currently in the 50.75 area. Stan was talking about a cycle return down to about the 52 area, and that may well be a good match with that trend line. Depending on timings, but I think that is the next obvious trend line. We've got this one below it. Not expecting a test of this one below, really. This would be my obvious target trend line for the next move down. We're already on an RSI 14 sell signal. I'm expecting to see a higher high and increasing positive divergence. That doesn't look like a problem at the moment. Right, let's have a look at NG. NG, the low is probably in, but what I would say is we've got a nice double bottom here, but of course the double bottom resistance has not yet been tested or broken, and that is currently in the, well, that's in a shade under 2.8, and that is the break that opens up the target above. We've had a fairly stiff retracement. That is, I was talking this morning about that, the obvious target being a test of this, back test of this trend line here. We've pretty much made it, and we're testing it again. It may well return and go up from here, and I quite like that scenario. If it doesn't, then we could see a retest of the low, and we could be forming a better quality and slightly less ambitious double bottom here. So watching that with interest, no current divergence. GC, I was talking this morning about this being a last call, really. This looks like an overthrow. It could still be an overthrow of this rising wedge, but it could be that we're breaking up. We do have a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. This has been a strong trending move, and we've retraced an awful lot of the previous pattern now. It may be that we're just actually going to continue up. This is not what I would describe as, well, it's a short for the courageous stroke unintelligent. So this isn't one of the higher probability trades we're going to see this week. I'm keeping an open mind on this. If we get back below 1275, then we should see at least a decent retracement. A test of the week pivot to 1271. If that can break and convert to resistance, we could still see a retest of this low. This overall move started from 1365. But today, looking at the RTH chart, we will have broken rising wedge resistance. That puts us in a topping pattern. That could still mean that we retest the low. It means we're unlikely to go much lower. And we may not retest that low at all. I like it though, and I like some kind of retracement from here soon. Not really seeing any strong sign of that yet. ZB. ZB has broken up from the cup with handle. I was talking about this morning, been talking about this almost every day, because this is a counter trend rally which is setting up the next short, which should be genuinely pretty interesting and very possibly go 4 or 5 handles. Could we be forming a bear flag here? Possibly. But I think it's more likely, looking at the TNX charts, I'll just show that next. Looking at the TNX chart, we're on the RSI 5 sell signal on the alley has made target. The RSI 14 one has not made target. But really, the way triangles work, you see the initial breakup, you see the back test. And the back test should come down to a minimum of 24.37. The low today has been 24.59, which should not be done to the upside here. on ZB, downside on TNX. It could obviously go considerably further. 24 would be a natural target area, but it should at least make 24.37. So expecting to see more downside here, and so I don't think ZB is done to the upside. In terms of the ZB pattern here, with the cut with handle, we should make at least a test of the monthly pivot here at 152.03. I've got the cut with handle target at 152.04, which is a pretty decent match. On a breaking conversion of the monthly pivot, obviously this could go higher. I'd be surprised to see it get much over 153.0. So really, I'm thinking the highs are likely to be somewhere in the 152s, depending on whether or not how well the monthly pivot holds as resistance. Will we reach the minimum target on TNX by the time we reach monthly pivot? It's not an exact correlation, but the chances are yes. We may well reverse that. Okay, let's have a look at HG. HG, as I mentioned this morning, we had an open bull flag target at the retest this high here at 3.2787. We have exceeded that today. We have a low quality possible sell signal brewing. I'm not really seeing anything particularly for the bears to get excited about on the copper chart until we see a break of this rising support in the 3.24 area. Even then, it's likely to be a counter trend move. And I'm mainly looking at the low at the bottom of that retracement. The long at the bottom of that retracement. In the interim, this isn't. I wouldn't be happy to go long in this area here. We've made our upside target. We're probably going to see a reversal in the fairly near future. Let's have a look at KC. Transitions are a bit slow. Right, KC, I've got a possible rising megaphone bear flag forming here. If so, the obvious next target would be a test of the 1.25 and change area. We'd have a potential. Well, the inverted head and shoulders that broke up slightly is dead. This isn't really a great double bottom. So really, if we got up to here, I'd mainly be looking at the bear flag megaphone option. I quite like it to the upside here. It has got over the weekly pivot and back tested it, and that's held as support. So that's looking converted at the moment. SB. SB, not a lot happened today. We're still on a 60-minute sell signal. I'm still seeing pretty decent support at the new weekly pivot, 1438, and I'm still thinking that we're probably going to go test that. If we retest the high here, then that would set up a potential double top to take this down further, but it would still need to break and convert the weekly pivot. Right, CC. CC hasn't made it to trendline support, and I don't think it's necessarily going to make it to trendline support. I like this overall falling wedge. We've gone a bit lower within the wedge, but the weekly pivot hasn't held as a resistance. I still quite like a move to this wedge resistance trendline in the 1955 area. I'm not seeing any particularly good reason to think that it doesn't get there. This level of resistance here, which has been fairly important, is increasingly going to be a pretty good match with the rising wedge resistance and make it a more attractive target. I quite like that. Is it going to get further? Probably not, but it may well make that test. CW. CW, I've been drawing in this rising megaphone, talking about a return to megaphone support. Now, could this megaphone be a bear flag? Yes, it could. We're under the weekly pivot, and we're getting close to a test of this rising megaphone support trend line, which is in the 419 area. I'm expecting to see that test. What happens afterwards? Well, the sell signal made target. I'm not seeing any particularly great reason for it to break down, but if this is a bear flag, and it could be a bear flag, although it's a little oversized for it, then we may well see that move to retest the low. So I'm aware of that. Support is at 419. We shall see how that holds. Right, GBP USD. GBP USD still in the triangle. Nice triangle. So I need to redraw the RSI triangle a bit, as obviously this is observing the perfect touch of triangle support this morning, perfect touch of triangle resistance this afternoon. That's holding so far. Our lean is that this triangle is likely to break down. And probably now sooner rather than later, as we're running out of space within the triangle. EUUSD. EUUSD, wondering about a retest of this high here. That fits with, looks like we've got unfinished business below on DX, so we may well see that. All about, in the short term, a breaking conversion week pivot that's been broken, and that's held as support. Will it continue to hold as support? Obviously, it needs to if we're going to see more upside. The high retest becomes much more questionable if we don't hold that as support. USD/JPY. USD/JPY has broken the rising support. I'm still liking a retest of that high, really, but it doesn't seem to be getting it. It's all about the weekly pivot at this stage. We're pretty close to a test. If that holds, then we can go higher. If that folds, then we're looking at a test of the monthly pivot at 112.72. Obviously, the monthly pivots are changing this week. Yeah, so actually that means the 7th of January one is, of course, the Sunday week and not Sunday, as I said at the beginning. But we're near the end of the month, so the monthly pivots are becoming a little less important here, and we're going to be having new ones soon. USD CAD. We have a 60-minute buy signal on USD CAD. That's being run over so far. We've got quite a lot of downward pressure on USD CAD, and obviously on the bigger picture, I'm expecting this to be a double top. And I was talking about this being a marginal new high and likely double top, and we had a nice rejection from there. We had possible channel support here, and that has broken. I'm really liking the downside. We've got the double top support in the 126.25 area, and a break below opens the 123.25 area, which is on the way to Stan's target, which is a pretty ambitious looking 115. We shall see. All right, Australian dollar. Australian dollar, we've got a nice rising wedge here. It looks as though it's overthrowing bearishly. I think it is overthrowing bearishly. But not absolutely certain about that. We need to see a rejection here in the relatively near future. This is a nice wedge, but obviously it still needs to break down rather than up. 60-minute sell signal is fixed. These are 70% bearish, and the outlook is short-term outlook is for retracement. So liking the downside here, not seeing much sign of it so far. NZUSD. I liked the retest of the highs here, and we got it. I've got rising support in the 70.125 area, and that hasn't broken yet. Obviously, that needs to break if this is going to play out as a double top, which I think it might well, with double top support in the 69.55 area. So we'll see. But I think this is quite a nice bearish scenario set up on both Australian dollar and NZ, and these both tend to trade together, obviously. So if they're going to turn down, they'll likely turn down together. They haven't turned down yet, but I'm fairly optimistic that both of them will reverse here. Okay, well, in that case, I think that's a wrap. Don't forget about those 2 webinars for tomorrow and Thursday after the close. Register on the January free webinars page, and they should be pretty interesting. All right, great. So I'll have this posted as soon as possible. I'll catch you guys on the Twitter feed.